Good day, ma'am and classmates. I am Shaira Ann Beduya. Today I will share to you the report about the global demography before the demographic transition. The global demography changes in terms of demographic profiles of population around the world. Demography refers to the study of populations and the process through which populations change in respect to environment, geography, and climate. The other definition of demography is it encompasses the study of the size and structure and distribution in population and temporal changes in response to birth, migration, and age and birth. The person who studies demography is called demographers. So they study populations to determine their size and composition and to predict how they are likely to change in years to come. So they use census data and statistical models to analyze the size, movement, and structure of population. For example, there is na mo ari sa balay mo interview for like family background, family members, how many are you in the family. Diba, they call census. So that's example demography, and it's a part of the demographers. They also make observations about the causes and effects of the population changes, and such as increases in birth rates or a migration. So in the next slide is the demographic transition theory. The term was first used by American demographer Frank Notstein in the 20th century, but it has been elaborated by many others. So it is a generalized description of the changing pattern of mortality, fertility, and growth rate as societies move from one demographic regime to another. So before the demographic transition, it is characterized by high birth rates and high fluctuating death rates, and population growth was kept low by mutation as preventative. Like women at those times were married at a late age, and due to war and hunger, causes population growth to slow down. So the population growth was slow because many people who were being born at the time, but at the same time there are also a lot of people dying. The demographers use a demographic transition model. According to Grover, it explained that population demography continued to evolve as a result of the relationship between birth and death rates within a country. So DTM uses death rates and birth rates to measure, and the observation and documentation of this global phenomenon produced a model. So you have 5 stages of demographic transition model. First is high fluctuation. Both birth rates and death rates are high, and as a result, the population growth, it remains fair and constant. So there are reasons for high birth rates and death rates. It could be in high birth rates, limited birth control, and also a high a lot of children are dying, so it encouraged parents to replace their deceased children and to bear more children. Also, children were seen as a future source of income by parents. So the more children they have, the more benefits they get from them. For the reason for high death rates is because of diseases and hunger, poor nutrition, and a poor hygiene. So in the second stage is high birth rate but failing death rate. Now this era is the introduction of modern medicine. So advancement of medical health care, so it lower death rate, especially among children. So a reason, so it improves public health and it lowers children, deceased children. It lowers child deaths and you have better nutrition. So the third stage is the falling birth rate but continuing falling death rate. So here it says in the presentation that if the population growth slows down, the population growth still continue but in a lower rate. Falling birth rate, so families may prefer to have smaller family members. Smaller family they have, the cheaper their expenses are. So in number 4, low fluctuation, low birth and death rates, small population growth, and strong economies, increase in women's status. So countries whom in this stage tend to have stronger economies, and they changes their personal lifestyle. And women relation for low birth is women are in workforce, and so this lessen the couples who are having kids. And then the last stage is the declining population. So death rates exceeds the birth rates. This stage has been recently recognized and only few countries are considered in this stage. For the reason of the low birth rate, because of a rise in individualism, greater financial independence of women, and a lack of resources for future generation. As you can see in the screen, there is an example photo of demographic transition of the Philippines. So if you were to ask what stage is the Philippines in demographic transition, the Philippines are in stage number 2, which means more deaths. Death rates are low, but birth rate remains high. So possible reasons, as I say earlier, that health conditions and environment in the Philippines are improving, so it decreases the death rates. Also, the reason for high birth rates is because due to pandemic, and its continuous lockdown in other places, like as we hear in social medias and news, like peoples were announcing the pregnancies. So the pandemic causes birth rate increase because of unintended pregnancies. So it disrupted the family planning. The importance of the demography is it is crucial to help us understand how quickly the economy is growing in relation to the population, and because it also we need to be aware of the population growth because it is possible for difficulties to arise when from population explosion at time. The demography also plays an important role in economic planning, like for particularly information about the population growth because since it may help the planners in creating strategies for the betterment of the nation. Thank you so much for taking your time and attention. I appreciate it all. That is all I have for today. God bless everyone. Bye.